You ever hear a cornfield breathe? Not rustle, not sway. I mean breathe, slow, wet, full of something watching you. Because I did. And I'm telling you straight, it wasn't breathing alone. So it starts like any other long-haul story. A busted route, a tight deadline, and a truck that picked the worst damn place to die. It was just after midnight, and I was pushing the miles hard, trying to make up for lost time from a jackknifed cattle rig that had stalled traffic an hour back. Somewhere outside of Abner County, no town sign, no exit in sight, just that long blacktop split down the middle with nothing but cornfields and silence on both sides. Then the truck shuddered. No warning, just one rough hiccup, like it had swallowed something sideways, and then the dash lights flickered. Bzzz. Real quick, then out. Engine coughed like it was gagging on oil, and the whole rig rolled quiet into the shoulder. Dead. Now I've been a driver long enough to know when something's busted and when something's wrong. This felt wrong. The kind of wrong that crawls up your spine before your brain can name it. I sat there for a second, just me and the dead hum of the dark. No moon, just the kind of silence that feels too wide, like the world itself is holding its breath. I popped the door open and stepped down, flashlight in hand. Gravel crunched underfoot, the air warmer than it had any right to be for past midnight. Felt like stepping into a room someone else had just left, all thick and close and used. I was about to open the hood when I saw it, that light. At first I thought it was a reflection, maybe the glow of my taillights bouncing weird off the corn or heat lightning way off the horizon. But no, this light came from the field, not above it. From inside it. It pulsed red, soft but steady, like a slow heartbeat deep between the stalks. Whoomp, whoomp, whoomp. There wasn't a sound to match it, just that beat, thudding gently into the night. I turned my flashlight toward the corn, clicked it on, but the beam barely cut through. The stalks were tall, taller than normal. Some of them had to be pushing 12 feet, which I know ain't natural. Corn grows tall, sure, but these had a thickness to them, like the plants had been lifting weights. Thick green stalks with oversized leaves curling like hands, twitching just slightly in the still air. But that light, it wasn't natural red. It was the color of blood under a black light, the kind of color that shouldn't glow but did anyway. And then I heard it, the breathing. I swear to God it came from the corn. A long, slow inhale. Not wind, not animals. A wet kind of breathing, like something enormous just under the surface was taking in air for the first time, and it didn't stop. I backed up a step, ready to hop back into the truck and call dispatch, when the radio, which had been dead as third doornail, crackled back on, full static. Then under the fuzz a voice, just a whisper. Come closer, real calm, real direct. Like it was talking only to me. I stared at the cab. Radio lights were still off, the truck wasn't even on. Come closer, it said again. Not a suggestion, not a scream, just instruction. And that's when I started walking toward the field. Couldn't tell you why. I wasn't scared exactly, not yet, just like my feet knew something I didn't, like I was meant to walk into that damn corn. I stepped past the ditch, right up to the first row of stalks. The red glow was stronger. Here, it lit the undersides of the leaves, made shadows stretch weird directions. And it wasn't coming from just one spot. It was coming from deep in there, moving, like a flame underwater. I took a step in. The moment my boot hit dirt, past the stalk line, everything changed. The air thickened. I mean heavy. Like stepping into a greenhouse filled with warm breath. I wiped sweat off my brow that hadn't been there a second ago. And the smell. Rot. Wet rot. Like mulch and copper and something burned. Behind me. The road was gone, I mean it. 1 second I could still see the edge of the pavement, my truck, the hazard lights still flashing low. And then it all vanished like someone turned the world inside out. Rows and rows of corn in every direction. No breaks, no gaps, just that awful red light pulsing deeper inside. And then something brushed past me, not a leaf, not wind, something. I turned quick, flashlight up, but all I saw was the stalks swaying, not like they were in wind, like they were moving out of the way, like something bigger than me was coming, from inside, and it was making room. I heard whispering, real soft. Dozens of voices all saying the same thing at once. He's here. He's here. He's here. And I did what anyone would do. I ran, only every direction I turned, more corn. The rows were twisting, changing, and the light was getting closer, like whatever was causing it had seen me, and it was glad. I don't remember how long I ran. Felt like hours. Could have been minutes, could have been seconds. Time bends in places like that. All I know is when I finally stumbled out of that cursed patch of green, gasping like I'd just broken through water, I was flat on my back next to my truck again. Hood. Open dot flashlight on the ground. Hazards blinking like nothing ever happened. Radio silent. Sky still black. But the corn was still glowing red. And something inside it was still breathing. You ever try running through a cornfield at night? Don't. It's like swimming through teeth, sharp, close, and loud. And that's before it starts moving around you. I didn't sleep after I got back in the cab. Hell, I didn't even shut the door. Just sat there with my legs half out, eyes locked on the corn, watching that red glow thump like a heartbeat. My hands were shaking, but I couldn't stop watching, couldn't stop listening, because the breathing hadn't stopped. It got closer. The field didn't go quiet when I left. If anything, it started sounding alive, and not in a buzzing with bugs and wind kind of way. I mean living, groaning, shifting, clicking. You ever hear a cornfield click? Because that's what it did. Fast snapping sounds like hundreds of little joints bending the wrong direction. I tried the ignition again, just for the hell of it. Dead figures. So there I was, middle of nowhere, broken down rig, cornfield from hell glowing like a Vegas strip light, and some things, breathing just behind the stalks, like they were waiting for an invitation to crawl out. Eventually the pulse stopped, not faded, just stopped, like a switch flipped. 1 second it was pounding in the dirt and in my teeth, and the next, silence. And the red light, it flickered. Just once. Then all the corn went dark. You'd think that would be a relief, right? No more light. No more sound, just normal darkness. But it was worse because it meant it knew I was watching and it wanted me blind. Now I don't scare easy. You don't do 15 years on the road without learning how to brush off weirdos, coyotes, even the occasional meth head trying to carjack you at a rest stop. But this was different. This was wrong in a way that didn't have a name, and still, I got out of the truck. Again. Why? Hell if I know. Call it morbid curiosity. Call it a pull, like gravity, but sideways. Like my gut was being reeled in. The corn was black now, no light to guide me. But I remembered where the rows started. Walked up again. This time I didn't stop. You ever walk into something knowing it's a mistake and doing it anyway? That was me. Every step felt like a dare, like the ground beneath my boots was whispering, "Come on, just a little deeper. One more row." And I did. Row after row, 1 foot at a time, until I lost count. It wasn't quiet in there. Not anymore. Heard movement, not rustling, slithering, wet close. I spun around, flashlight slicing through the dark like a dull blade, but all I saw were the stalks, too many of them, and wrong. See? Corn rows are supposed to be straight. Farmed like that on purpose. Makes harvesting easier. These bent twisted into spirals and zigzags. Some rows doubled back on themselves like a snake eating its tail. Others just ended, the stalks chopped and frayed like something had torn its way through, and then I saw the first one. It was crouched low, pale, long arms folded against its sides like a praying mantis, skin stretched thin and twitching over bones that didn't quite line up with human proportions. It didn't move, just watched, no eyes, but I felt them anyway. Burning, not angry, not even hungry, just interested. Like a scientist watching a rat sniff the air before the maze starts changing, I backed up. Big mistake, because the row behind me, gone. Just solid green wall. The corn had closed. That's when the whispers came back. Same voice, same phrase. But this Time, it wasn't the radio, it was them, all around me. He's here. He's here. He's here. Some voices deep, some like children, some like insects wearing people's mouths. I dropped the flashlight, didn't even feel it leave my hand. Suddenly, everything glowed red again, like a switch flipped back. On, but it wasn't just a glow, it was under the soil, like veins. The dirt itself was pulsing. Lit from beneath, spreading under my boots like roots carrying electricity. And I swear I heard something heartbeat-shaped beneath my feet. A second earth. Living. The creature ahead of me straightened. Taller than I thought. Way taller. Its neck crackled like branches snapping. Then it turned and stepped into the next row, disappeared. I should have run, I should have screamed. But what did I do? I followed. Because that's the kind of story this is. I didn't know how I ended up there. Wasn't sure if I was walking or stumbling anymore. My boots scraped against the uneven earth, my heart pounding in my chest like a drum. Each breath was ragged, and my mouth felt dry. But I couldn't turn back. I couldn't stop. The pulsating red light from the pit drew me like a magnet, dragging me deeper into the twisted rows of corn, and I couldn't tear my eyes away. The harvesters had already begun their strange rhythmic humming, their bodies still as statues in the ring around the pit. As they hummed, the ground itself seemed to hum with them, vibrating beneath my feet. Every breath of air felt heavy, laden with something that I couldn't name. It wasn't just the humid summer night. No, this was different. This was unnatural. And that's when it hit me. The thing in the center of the circle, the pit, the very core of the field, wasn't just a hole. No, it was more like a portal, or at least that's the only way I could think to describe it. It wasn't just glowing red, it was alive. Something was moving under the surface, twisting and shifting, pulsing. I took a step closer, unwillingly, but it wasn't just curiosity that pushed me forward. It was something else. Something deep inside me, something I couldn't control. The closer I got to the pit, the more the air pressed in on me, thick and hot, like it was alive too. I heard it before I saw it, a low sound, scraping, cracking, like branches snapping under the weight of something too heavy, too strong. I blinked, trying to shake off the fog clouding my mind, but my feet kept moving, carrying me to the edge of that awful glowing pit. That's when I saw the first one. At first, it was nothing more than a shape, a distortion in the flickering, red glow. It was massive, dark, and elongated. It moved with a strange, jerky motion, like something that wasn't used to being alive. Then it stepped out of the shadows. It was tall, too tall, standing at least 7 feet high, its limbs long and unnaturally thin. Its body was covered in ragged, leathery skin that stretched tight over its bones. It reminded me of those figures you see in nightmares, the ones with too many joints, too many arms, too many things that shouldn't be, moving in ways that make your mind scream to make sense of them. But you can't. Its face? Well, it didn't have one. Not a human face, at least. Its head was smooth, an almost perfect dome of pale, stretched skin. The only feature that marked it as alive, or something akin to alive, was the faint black line running down the center of the head, splitting it into 2 halves. I could see the faintest pulse of red light coming from beneath the skin, a thin thread of light like veins running down its skull. It didn't have eyes, no mouth, no nose, but it looked at me, not with eyes, something more instinctual. It was as if it could feel me, as if it knew I was there, that I was watching it, and it was deciding whether or not I was worth its attention. I wanted to scream. I wanted to run, but my feet were stuck. That pull, the one that had brought me into this cursed field, had me by the soul, squeezing tighter with every breath I took. The creature stepped forward. It didn't walk, didn't move in any way. That made sense, it just shifted. Its body was liquid, flowing like it was made from smoke and shadows. I could see the space around it bend, distort, like the world didn't quite know how to accommodate its form, and then it spoke. Not in words, not in the way you and I speak. It was a voice, but it didn't come from its mouth, it came from somewhere deeper. A voice that filled my head, vibrating behind my eyes, the kind of voice that made you question whether your thoughts were still your own. You are not welcome here." The words echoed inside my skull, rolling over my consciousness like thunder. I couldn't answer. I couldn't speak. The fear, the confusion, the overwhelming wrongness of it all shut me down. I was frozen. My body didn't belong to me anymore. It belonged to the field, to the creatures that walked here. The thing in front of me wasn't the only one. It was only then that I noticed the others. There were more figures, creeping from the edges of the circle, stepping into the dim red light. Some were human-shaped, others less so. They were all tall, their forms shifting, their outlines blurring with the mist that had begun to settle in. One of them moved forward, closer, and I saw what it was holding in its hand. It was a knife, a large rusted blade that glowed faintly in the red light. The figure raised it slowly, deliberately, and my heart skipped a beat. The harvest is upon you. That's when I saw it. The figure I had first seen, the one with the grin, its body twisting in ways that no human body should, began to move again. But this time, it wasn't the slow, calculated movement I had seen before. This time it was urgent. It was no longer just watching me. It was coming, and it wasn't alone. The harvesters moved. They came forward from the shadows like a swarm of insects surrounding me. Their bodies flickered in and out of focus, moving so quickly I couldn't keep track of them. Their voices began to rise again, louder now, all of them chanting in unison. The words weren't anything I recognized. They sounded old, ancient, like a song sung by the earth itself, deep in the belly of the world. I took a step back, then another. But the ground shifted beneath my feet. The corn moved. The rows twisted and contorted like snakes, closing in on me from all sides. I was trapped in a web of rustling stalks, each one thicker and more twisted than the last, growing closer, pressing in on me. The red glow from the pit behind me flared, brighter now, and the air around me seemed to hum with it, pulsing like a heartbeat. The harvesters were chanting louder now, circling me like predators, their eyes, if you could call them that, glowing red like the very core of the earth. Their voices rose higher. "We are the sowers. We are the harvesters. We shall take what is ours." I turned and ran. I didn't think, didn't stop, didn't question. I just ran. The corn pressed in on me, the stalks lashing out, slicing at my skin. I didn't look back. The sound of the harvesters' chant grew louder, then softer, then louder again, like they were closing in on me from all sides. I heard the thud of something behind me. It was coming. It was so close. I stumbled through the last row of corn and broke into the clearing, and there it was. My truck. But it wasn't my truck anymore. It looked older, rusted, as if it had been sitting there for years. The headlights were dull, the body scratched and dented like it had been abandoned long ago. I ran to it, but as my hand touched the door handle, I felt the ground shake beneath me. The pulse from the cornfield had gotten stronger. The truck wasn't just sitting there anymore, it was rooted, part of the field. The CB radio crackled. A voice came through, deep and calm. "They marked you. You will never leave." I turned, to run again, but the cornfield had closed behind me. The rows were gone. I was alone. I was trapped, and the red light was getting closer. I was sinking. It wasn't like falling into a pit, not the way you imagine when you think of being trapped. It was as though the earth itself was swallowing me, pulling me into its dark, wet embrace. The cracks in the ground had spread wider now, twisting and writhing like the roots of a massive ancient tree, except these roots were not bound by time. They were alive, sentient, and hungry. The ground was breathing, expanding and contracting, as if it was drawing in my every movement, each breath I took. My heart was pounding against my chest, my breath coming in ragged gasps. The weight of the field pressed in on me, thick and heavy, until it felt like I was drowning in the air itself. I had to move, but the ground wouldn't let me. I looked around, desperate for some sort of escape, but all I saw were the same twisted rows of corn, the same flickering red light spilling from the pit at the heart of the field. The harvesters were circling me now, not just the ones I'd seen before, but others, more of them, emerging from the rows like shadows crawling out of the earth itself. Their skin was darker now, an oily blackness that reflected the red glow of the pit, and their faces, No, they didn't have faces. They had eyes. Eyes that weren't eyes at all, pools of black, shallow and deep all at once. They were watching me, not with curiosity but with hunger. Their mouths, if you could even call them mouths, were wide, gaping holes in their faces, as though their skin had been stretched too thin over whatever was underneath. They didn't need to speak. The way they moved told me everything I needed to know. They were closing in. The truck was a distant memory now, a mirage. It had to be. There was no way it had been real. The vehicle had been a doorway, a symbol, a tether to the life I once had. But I wasn't part of that world anymore. Not here. Not now. I could feel it in my bones. The field was changing me. The pull, the force that had first drawn me here was tightening around my chest now. It wasn't physical, not in the way a hand grabs you and drags you forward. No, this pull, it was deeper. It was something I couldn't see, couldn't touch, but I felt it down to the marrow in my bones. It was a call from the earth itself, a silent invitation to become one with it, to become part of the soil and the roots, part of the land, part of the harvest. I stumbled again, nearly falling face first into the soil, but I couldn't stop. Something inside me wouldn't let me. My legs moved on their own accord, dragging me forward toward the pit. The air had shifted now. It was thicker, denser. The red light had grown brighter. No, it was growing, expanding, like it was reaching out to claim me. The ground beneath my feet seemed to pulse with the same rhythm as the light. I could feel the vibrations deep inside my chest, reverberating through every bone in my body. It wasn't just the ground anymore. It was inside me. It was inside all of us. I looked down at my hands, the skin cracked and rough like the soil itself. How long had I been here? How long had it been since I'd seen the sun? The air around me was suffocating, thick and hot, like it had been trapped for years in this field, waiting for someone to come along so it could consume them. I was losing my grip, not just on reality, but on myself. My thoughts were becoming disjointed, scattered. I couldn't remember the last time I'd felt like me. The man who had climbed into his truck, the one who had driven for miles, was fading away. He was becoming as much a part of the field as the harvesters, the corn, the soil, and I wasn't sure whether that was the worst part or the best. My breath came faster now. I was almost there, almost at the pit. The ground around me seemed to be collapsing, but I couldn't stop walking, couldn't stop moving toward it. The red glow from the center of the field beckoned me like a moth to the flame, pulling me deeper, deeper into the bowels of the earth. A voice whispered in the back of my mind. It was faint at first, but as I neared the pit it grew clearer. I tried to block it out, but it was too strong, too insistent. You're already one of us. You always have been. I reached the edge of the pit. The ground was soft here, wet and spongy, like the soil had been soaked in something I couldn't identify. The pit itself was a yawning mouth, glowing with the same red light that seemed to fill my head, my chest, my every thought. The air hummed with a deep, steady rhythm, a heartbeat that I felt in my veins, but I couldn't stop. I couldn't look away. The thing at the center of the pit, whatever it was moving now, shifting beneath the surface, something enormous, something alive. The glow deepened, swirling like it was being stirred, revealing something that wasn't. Quite solid, yet was a mass of twisting, writhing tendrils of black, red, and white. It pulsed and writhed beneath the surface like a living creature, something older than the world itself. And then it spoke. It wasn't a voice in the traditional sense. It wasn't even words, not as you and I understand them. The sound of it filled my mind, pouring into my thoughts like a torrent of water. Come, it's time, the harvest is ready. I didn't understand at first, but then it came flooding back to me. The harvesters, the field, the red glow. The harvest wasn't just for the land. The harvest was for us. I was part of it now. I was being claimed. The air around me thickened. The ground under my feet seemed to open up, the cracks widening, the roots of the earth pulling me in. The pit wasn't a hole in the ground. It was a gateway, a portal to something far darker than I could ever comprehend. I could see the faces of the others now, those who had come before me. Their eyes were black, hollow, their skin pale and stretched thin like they had been drained. I tried to scream, but no sound came out. I couldn't breathe. My chest felt tight, like the field was suffocating me. I looked up, and there they were. You see, harvesters. They were circling me now, their shapes flickering in the red light, their bodies distorted, writhing, as though they were part of the field itself. Their movements were hypnotic, rhythmic, like a dance, a slow, purposeful dance, and then they stepped forward. I felt the ground beneath me shift again. The roots tightened. My hands dug into the soil, but I couldn't move. The earth was alive now, pulling me, wrapping me in its embrace. My body was stuck. "You will grow with us," the voice echoed again. "You will feed us. You will become part of the harvest," I gasped. I could feel it, the transformation, the change, the cold, suffocating weight of it spreading through my veins, coursing through my body. It was too late. I could feel it, the change, the pull of it. It was slow at first, a creeping sensation, but it didn't take long for it to turn unbearable. My fingers began to tingle, a strange warmth radiating from them, almost like blood was running through them differently, thicker, heavier. My skin felt tight, stretched. I could feel the pulse of the earth beneath me, thrumming through my legs, my feet all the way up into my chest. I wanted to scream. I wanted to run. I needed to get out of there. But my body didn't obey. My legs didn't move. The roots, the field, had me. I looked down at my hands, the veins. They were different. There were black lines running through the skin, curling, like tendrils of some foreign creeping vine. The veins were pulsing with that same rhythmic hum that I had felt in the air earlier, the hum that seemed to seep into everything. I tried to flex my fingers, but they felt stiff, like I was wearing someone else's hands. And then it hit me. I wasn't wearing someone else's hands. These were mine now. The earth was inside me. I was becoming part of it. I couldn't understand how, I couldn't fathom it, but I knew this. There was no escaping it. The field had claimed me. The harvesters were still there, their shadowy forms moving around me in slow, deliberate circles, like wolves closing in on their prey. But they weren't looking at me in the same way anymore. They weren't just predators. They were part of the same cycle, the same hunger that ran through the field. They were part of it, just like I was now. A new wave of pain shot through me, this time centered in my chest. It was like something was growing inside me, pushing against my ribs, twisting in the pit of my stomach. I couldn't breathe. The pressure was unbearable. I stumbled forward, and that's when I saw it. The pit. It was pulsing. The red light had intensified, throbbing, glowing, as if the pit itself were breathing. And deep inside it I could see movement. There was something down there, something alive, something enormous, stretching, coiling beneath the surface. It was so big that I couldn't even make sense of it, but I could feel its presence in my bones, in my blood. The thing in the pit knew me now. It felt me. A voice echoed inside my skull. "You will grow with us. You will feed the soil, flesh of the field." I dropped to my knees, gasping for air, my vision spinning. The air had become thick again, like it was made of syrup. I could barely move, but I could hear it. The voice. The words didn't make sense, not entirely, but I understood the meaning. I was going to be part of the field. I was going to be consumed by it. I wasn't just trapped here, I was becoming the harvest. The harvesters were closer now, standing just outside my vision. I could feel their eyes on me, those dark, gaping hollows. They didn't move, they didn't need to. I could feel them waiting for the moment when I would break, when I would finally stop resisting and accept the inevitable. And I almost did. I almost gave in to it. The pain in my chest had grown unbearable, and the pull from the ground was so strong that I felt like my body was about to be torn apart. But something in me snapped. I shoved myself upright, ignoring the searing pain. That shot through me. I looked around. The cornfield loomed taller, the rows stretching endlessly, the red light still flickering like some infernal beacon. But the harvesters hadn't moved. They were waiting for me to make the next move. I could feel them closing in on me. The very earth beneath me felt like it was alive, like it had a will of its own. I had to get out, I had to escape. But where? The field stretched on forever. I was surrounded. There was nowhere to run. I took a step forward, my legs barely holding me up. I felt like I was being dragged along the ground, every step a struggle, every movement a battle against the suffocating weight of the earth. I stumbled, and my hands hit the dirt, the cool soil pressing against my palms. The roots. I froze. There were roots in the soil, but they weren't the kind I'd seen before. These were larger, thicker, snaking through the ground like snakes. They twisted and coiled, some of them stretching out from the cornfield itself, others rising from the pit, crawling through the earth like living veins. They were reaching for me. No, not just reaching, pulling. I tried to pull my hands back, but it was too late. The roots had already wrapped around my wrists, tightening like chains. I screamed, trying to tear myself free, but the roots were impossibly strong, their grip unyielding. The more I struggled, the more they pulled. The harvesters were closer now. One of them stepped into my line of sight, its dark form flickering in the red light. It was waiting. I couldn't escape. The earth beneath me seemed to open up, a yawning chasm swallowing me whole. The roots wrapped around me like a cage, pulling me deeper, deeper into the soil. My body was giving way, my skin tingling and aching, as if I was being drawn into the ground itself. I felt the pull. The soil was becoming me. I could feel it crawling up my legs, through my arms, twisting around my spine. It was as if I was sinking, but not in the way that death sinks you. This was something else. It was alive. I screamed again, but it was drowned out by the hum of the earth, the pulse of the field, the rhythm of life and death and rebirth. The harvesters circled me now, their presence suffocating. They were watching me. No, they were waiting for me. I could feel the ground beneath me shift again. The roots were growing into me, fusing with my body. I was becoming one with the field. And then, just before I lost all sense of myself, I heard it, the voice from the pit. It wasn't a voice at all. It was a command. Feed, grow, become the field. The air was thick with the stench of earth, damp and rich with decay, like something long forgotten had been left to fester beneath the surface. I could taste it on my tongue, the musty flavor of rot, like it was seeping into my very blood. I couldn't move. The roots that had once been a creeping terror were now an inescapable prison. They were everywhere, coiling around my body, twisting into my skin, binding my limbs to the earth itself. It wasn't just my hands that were trapped anymore. The roots had slithered up my legs, through my chest, winding deep into my spine, into my very bones. I was becoming the field. It wasn't just the physical change that terrified me, though. No, that was the least of it. The real horror was what I could feel inside me, something else. A cold, empty hollow deep within my chest. It wasn't a wound. It wasn't pain. It was like a void had opened up inside me, a space that had never been there before. A place where everything human had once existed, but no longer did. I could feel the soil inside me. It wasn't just on me anymore. It was in me, in my flesh. The roots were feeding, pulsing, drawing sustenance from my body like a parasite. But I wasn't just dying, I wasn't decaying, I was growing, becoming something new, something I didn't understand, something I couldn't escape. I could feel the pull. It wasn't like before, when it was an overwhelming force that dragged me into the pit. Now it was part of me. It was pulling from within, urging me to accept it, to let go, to become. I felt the tug at the back of my mind, something that was both inside and outside, both a voice and an instinct. The harvesters were no longer just watching, they were waiting. There was a moment just before everything changed again, when I thought I might die. The pain was unbearable, the roots digging deeper, turning my flesh into something else, something unfamiliar. But then, a strange stillness took over. It was like everything in the world had stopped moving. There was no more wind, no more sound, only the hum of the earth and the frantic beating of my heart. I had become part of the land. I felt it in my veins, in the deep pit of my chest, and that hollow space inside of me. It was expanding. It was taking up every part of me, a growing emptiness where my humanity once lived. My eyes blinked, but when they opened again, I realized I wasn't seeing the world the same way anymore. I wasn't seeing at all. The red light was everywhere now. It filled the air around me, swimming like blood through the sky. It wasn't just the light from the pit. It was the light of the land, of the harvest, and I realized then that I was part of it. I was being born from it, grown from it, twisted by it. The harvesters stepped forward. I could feel their presence around me, their hollow gaze pressing down like an invisible weight. I could feel them inside me, crawling through the roots that had embedded themselves in my flesh. They were waiting for me to complete the transformation, to let go, to stop fighting, but I didn't want to. I didn't want to be part of this. I couldn't let them take me completely. I couldn't. I forced myself to take a breath, even though it felt wrong. The air burned as I sucked it in, but I needed to move. I had to do something. The pain was unbearable, but the pain was me. I was the pain. The field was the pain. I pushed against the roots, struggling to free myself, but they only tightened. They had no mercy. They didn't need mercy. The earth was inside me now, and it wasn't going anywhere. The harvesters were closing in, their black, hollow eyes watching me with an intensity that felt like the very essence of the field. They moved in slow, deliberate steps, not in a hurry, not in a rush. They knew what was coming. They knew what had to happen. I looked down at myself, at the blackened veins running under my skin, at the patches of dirt and grime that now seemed to cover my body like a second layer. I could feel the transformation happening at the cellular level, a deep, invasive shift that was both terrifying and strangely familiar. I wasn't becoming the field. The field was becoming me. The roots. They began to move again, pushing further, into my body, deeper and deeper, until they were no longer separate from me. They were my blood, my pulse. Every movement I made was their movement. I could feel their whispering call inside me, like something alive that demanded to be nurtured, to be fed. I could feel the life inside the corn, the way it swayed in the wind, the way the roots burrowed deep into the ground, and the way the light pulsed at its core. I could feel all of it, and it felt like it was part of me. My heartbeat was no longer my own. The land had taken it, made it its own, and now I felt its hunger. I felt it in my stomach, in my chest, in the very marrow of my bones. The harvesters had formed a circle around me now. They were still waiting, their black eyes flickering with a terrible patience. I could see the hunger in them, their bodies trembling with the same urge that coursed through me. I wasn't a person anymore. I wasn't even a man. I was becoming something else, something that had no face, no identity, but in the back of my mind, in the deepest part of me, I could still remember who I was. I could still remember before the truck, before the cornfield. There was a flicker of resistance, a heartbeat. I couldn't stop it. The earth had me. The land had always been waiting for me, calling me back. The truck, the breakdown, the cornfield. It had all been leading here. It had all been leading me back to the harvest. I felt myself surrendering to it, and I didn't want to. I didn't want to. But the pain, the pressure, the emptiness inside me was growing, expanding like a hollowed-out tree, and I knew that I couldn't fight it anymore. And then I felt the ground shift again. The soil opened beneath me, and I was falling deep into the roots, into the very heart of the field, into the pit of the harvest. I couldn't see anymore. My vision had blurred, but I felt it. The pull, the demand. The field was calling, me. And now there was nothing left to do but answer. I was no longer human. I could feel it in every fiber of my being, the hollowed-out space inside me, the gaping void where my heart should have been. The air around me was thick with the stench of earth, the damp, rich smell of something far older than I could comprehend. The roots had woven their way so deep inside me that it was impossible to tell where the field ended and my own body began. I was part of it. I was it. And yet, I could still feel that last fleeting piece of myself, something buried so deep that it was almost like a distant echo. I had once been a man, a driver lost on a quiet stretch of road. But now I was becoming something else, something darker. The harvesters had surrounded me. Their presence loomed over me like a shadow that stretched across the entire field. Their hollow eyes were fixed on me, watching, waiting for the last piece of the transformation to click into place. The red light pulsed again, stronger, this time, and I felt it deep in my bones. It wasn't just light anymore, it was life. It was the heartbeat of the land, and I could hear it, feel it, as if it were mine. The roots, the soil, the field. It was all part of me now. I felt the change inside. Something curling and writhing, turning me from the inside out. The pain in my chest had become a constant ache, a gnawing reminder of what I had been, and what I was becoming. I couldn't deny it any longer. The field was calling me, the earth was growing me, the harvesters moved closer. Their forms flickered and swayed in the red light, their shapes shifting in unnatural ways but always circling. I couldn't tell if they were alive or if they were part of the field itself, ghosts, shadows, or something worse. I could feel their eyes on me, though, and I could feel the hunger. It wasn't their hunger. It was the field's hunger, the land's hunger, my hunger. My flesh had already started to change. The black veins had spread across my skin, like patches of mold overtaking the earth. My fingers had become stiff, as if they were turning to wood, each joint cracking like brittle branches snapping under the weight of years. My arms trembled as I tried to move them, but I didn't have control anymore. It wasn't me moving them. It was the field, the soil, the roots. The field wasn't just consuming me. It was growing through me. I tried to speak, to scream, but no sound came. My throat felt dry, tight, like the air itself was choking me from the inside out. My chest heaved, but it wasn't my lungs filling with air. It was the soil inside me. The roots. They were filling me, growing, filling every space inside me, until there was no room left for anything else. There is no escape. A voice echoed in my mind. It wasn't a voice I recognized, but it was clear. It was the voice of the field, the voice of the harvest. The reaping comes. The land takes what it is owed. And you are ours. The ground beneath me began to tremble. The earth shifted, pulling, twisting, and then I felt it, the roots. They were pulling my very being, dragging me deeper into the soil. But it wasn't just the soil, it was the pit, the one that had been calling to me from the very beginning. I didn't know what it was down there, but I knew one thing. It had been waiting. It had been calling me, and now it was coming for me. I tried to resist, I tried to move, to fight, to scream, but it was no use. My body was no longer my own. The roots had taken everything from me. They had eaten away at my flesh, my soul, until all that was left was the echo of a man who had once been lost on a lonely stretch of road. I could feel the darkness closing in around me. The red light from the pit flickered, stronger now, brighter, until it filled my entire vision. The harvesters were closer than ever. They had stopped circling. They had stopped watching. They were now waiting for the last step. And then the earth split open. The pit. It wasn't just a hole in the ground. It was something ancient, something vast, something that had always been there. I fell. It wasn't like falling through air. No, this was different. This was like sinking, like being swallowed by the earth itself, the soil closing in around me as if the ground had always been meant to swallow me whole. The red light grew brighter, blinding, until I couldn't see anything at all. But I felt it. I felt the pull, the tug of the roots inside me, drawing me closer to the center, to the heart of the field. It was all I could feel. The deep pulse of the land, the rhythm of the harvest, the hunger of the earth. I felt my body twisting and breaking as I sank deeper into the earth, my form becoming nothing more than a mass of roots, veins, and soil. Was the harvest. I was the reaping. It was over. It was finished. There was no more man left inside me. There was only the field. There was only the harvest. I had become part of it. Flesh and soil, roots and blood. I was the land, and I would never leave. I don't know how long I've been here. Time doesn't mean anything anymore. Not in the pit. Not in the place where the soil is alive, where the earth pulses with a rhythm that isn't quite human. I can still feel the ache of my transformation in every part of me, the roots that have woven into my skin, the soil that has become my blood. My body no longer belongs to me. It's part of the land, part of the harvest, and yet is there still a flicker inside me, a thread of something that used to be human. It's faint, but it's there, a whisper in the back of my mind, something that still remembers the world I left behind. But that world, my world, is slipping away with every breath I take. The light that pulses through the pit isn't just the red glow of the cornfield anymore. No, it's something more ancient, something more terrifying. It's the light of the harvest, of the land itself, and it fills the air like a thick fog. It's oppressive, suffocating, but also strangely comforting, like it's always been here, like it's always been a part of me. The harvesters stand in a circle around me, their bodies swaying gently, not moving, but alive in a way that I can't understand. Their hollow eyes are fixed on me, watching, waiting for something. I don't know what it is. I don't want to know what it is. I can feel myself sinking deeper into the earth, not in a way that makes me afraid, but in a way that feels inevitable. The soil shifts beneath me, soft and wet, pulling at my legs, at my chest like it's hungry, like it's pulling me further into its embrace. It's strange, you know. I don't know when I stopped fighting. I don't know when I stopped trying. To escape, I just stopped. It's not that I gave up. It's not that I was weak. It's that the earth is stronger than anything I've ever known, stronger than anything I ever could have imagined. The land calls to me, and it doesn't ask for permission. It just takes. It takes what it needs, and it gives nothing in return. I remember my truck, the engine's hum, the feel of the steering wheel beneath my hands. I remember the smell of diesel and the taste of stale coffee in my mouth. I remember the stretch of lonely road, the way the world felt like it was vast and empty, like it was all waiting for me. I was so sure I could outrun it. The field, the harvesters, the pull of the earth. But I was wrong. I can't outrun this. Can't escape it. There's something deeper now, something far more terrifying than the roots or the harvesters or the field itself. It's the pull of something that has always existed, something older than the trees, older than the corn. It's the force that drives the harvest, the thing that feeds the land, the thing that waits beneath the surface, waiting for the last seed to fall. The soil around me quivers, the earth stirs, and I feel a sickening lurch in my chest. The roots that have been growing through me for what feels like an eternity pulse, a rhythmic throb that matches the heartbeat of the land. I try to move, to break free, but there's no use. My body is not my own. The soil has me, and I've become a part of it. The transformation is complete. The last seed has been planted, and then I realize I am the seed. The light intensifies. It's blinding now, and it's not just coming from the pit anymore. It's coming from me, from inside me. The red glow pulses in my veins, in my skin, in the very marrow of my bones. I can feel the field calling, drawing the last of my humanity into the soil, feeding it, nurturing it, turning it into something else. I am the last seed to be sown. It's hard to breathe, but it's not a struggle. The air feels thick, like it's laced with something I can't name but feel. There's a hum in the air, a deep resonance that vibrates through my chest and my skull. The harvesters move now, but they don't walk. They flow. Their forms stretch and writhe in ways that defy logic, like they're not bound by anything but the earth itself. They surround me, leaning in close, their hollow eyes boring into me, waiting for the moment when I am no longer human, when I am no longer me. And in that moment, I feel it. A shift, a moment of clarity. The land has consumed me, yes, the field has taken everything from me, but something else is happening, something I can't understand. The pit is opening wider now. I feel the pull, deeper than before, deeper than I ever thought possible. It's like the entire world is pulling me into it. The soil under my feet gives way and I fall deeper into the earth, deeper into the heart of the harvest. The harvesters are around me, but they aren't there to claim me anymore. No, they're waiting for the harvest. They're waiting for what I will become, and that's when I understand I am no longer just part of the field. I am the last step. I am the final part of the cycle. I am the seed that will grow. And then I hear it, the low resounding hum that fills the entire pit. The earth trembles beneath me. The roots are twisting, spreading further and faster, feeding the soil, feeding me, and with it, the final seed begins to sprout. I can feel it. Something inside me, something deep in my chest is growing. It isn't pain, it isn't agony, it's growing, and I am growing with it. The harvest doesn't end with the reaping. It continues. I am the last seed. And I will grow again. I thought I had become the last part of it. I thought that when the seed sprouted within me, when I was swallowed whole by the soil, the cycle would finally end. I would be at rest. I would return to the earth, one with the land that had claimed me. But I was wrong. The harvest never ends. It only grows. The soil around me quivers again, but this time it's not the same pulsing throb that came from the pit. It's different. It's sharper. It's like a pressure, a wave of energy that ripples through the ground beneath me. I can feel it in the very marrow of my bones. The shift. The earth is restless. It's calling, it's waiting. I can't see it, not clearly, but I can feel it. A presence. Something outside the pit, outside the field. The land is alive, always waiting, always hungry. I hear the hum in the air again, the one that had vibrated through my chest when I first fell into the earth. It's there, deep in the soil, like a distant echo, a resonance that fills every corner of this place. It's calling again, and that's when I know. Another seed is coming. I can feel the soil shifting above me. The earth is pulling, but it's not me. It's not my roots. I am part of the field now, part of the harvest, but I can still feel the stirrings of something else, something that doesn't belong here yet. Something new, and then it happens. The red light pulses. A truck. A single lonely vehicle, its headlights cutting through the darkness, its tires crunching across the dirt road. I can see it, even if I can't see through the thick, suffocating fog that hangs in the air. I can feel the weight of it, the presence of the driver, the new seed that's drawn to the field. The truck slows as it approaches, the driver unaware of the fate that waits for them. I can feel their presence, distant but real. They are coming. Just like I came, they stop. The engine hums, and I feel a shiver of recognition, of horror. The road, the truck, the cycle. They're here, and I can feel the land welcoming them. I try to scream, but there's no voice. I try to reach out, but my body is no longer mine. I am the soil now. I am part of the field, and the cycle is coming whether I want it or not. The truck's door opens. I can feel the man stepping out. His boots hit the ground with a dull thud, and he looks around, confused, lost. He doesn't see the red light pulsing around him. He doesn't hear the hum in the air. He doesn't feel the land calling him, but I do. The harvesters begin to stir. They are drawn to the new arrival, just like I was, just like the others before me. They circle him, their eyes glowing faintly in the red light. He doesn't notice them. Not yet. But he will. The trucker takes a few steps into the field, drawn by something he can't see, something he can't understand. But I can. I know what's coming. I know what's about to happen. I try to warn him, but I can't. I'm trapped here, trapped in the soil, in the roots. The land holds me, binds me, and I am nothing now but part of the earth's hunger. But I feel it. I feel the pull, and I know what's coming next. The red light grows brighter. He stops, right at the edge of the cornfield, staring into the thick, twisting rows of plants that pulse with that same eerie glow. He should turn back. He should run, but he doesn't. He takes a step forward, then another, drawn deeper into the field. I can feel the soil shifting beneath his feet. It's ready for him. The earth is hungry. A shape moves in the darkness. One of the harvesters, its form flickering in and out of existence, steps toward the trucker. It reaches for him with long, gnarled hands, hands made of twisted roots and blackened skin. The trucker looks up, but it's too late. The harvesters, close in, circling him, their cold, empty eyes fixed on him as they pull him deeper into the field. The red light pulses faster, brighter, until it fills every inch of the land. I can feel it happening again. The same thing that happened to me. The same pull, the same hunger. The The cycle is repeating itself. The land has found its next victim. And the trucker, the man who thought he was just passing through, is now a part of it. I watch helpless as he is consumed. I can't stop it. I am part of it now. The harvest has claimed him, just as it claimed me. And when it's over, when he's fully consumed by the earth, the land will grow again. The cycle will continue. The field will thrive, and I will remain here. I will always remain here. I can feel it again. The pull, the stirring of the soil beneath me. It's faint at first, just a whisper through the roots that have long since overtaken my body. But it's there, that deep, insistent hum that reverberates through my chest and my bones. It's familiar now. I've learned to recognize it. The land calls. It always calls. The red light pulses again, flickering like the heartbeat of something ancient, something powerful. The cornfield stands tall, its rows swaying in the windless air, the plants stretching high, their leaves rustling with a sound that's almost alive. It's not over. The harvest isn't finished. It never ends. I remember thinking that when I was first pulled into the soil, when the roots started to twist into my veins, into my skin, into my mind, that there would be an end to it. I thought the field would finally have its fill. I thought I'd be free, that I'd disappear into the earth, become one with it, never to be touched again. But that's not how it works. The land doesn't let you go. The earth doesn't forget. And the harvest. The harvest always needs more. A figure stumbles into the field just like all the others. A man. A trucker. No different from the one before. He doesn't know. He doesn't understand what he's walking into. I can feel him approaching the edge of the cornfield, his boots crunching on the dirt. His breath is shallow, his movements slow. The light is blinding now, the red pulse too bright, too harsh. He should turn around. He should run. But he doesn't. I can feel his curiosity. It's like a magnet. It draws him deeper into the field. Just as it drew me, just as it drew all the others before me. The soil shifts beneath his feet, restless, hungry. It's calling to him, pulling him forward. And as the man steps closer, the land welcomes him, its hunger rising like an insatiable tide. I can see him now, standing just beyond the edge of the corn. He stops, looking around, unsure, his eyes scanning the rows of crops. He feels it. The air is thick, dense with something he can't name. He doesn't know it, but the land has claimed him already. The moment he stepped onto the road, the field began to feed. The red light pulses, brighter now, and the corn shifts. There's movement within the field. I know what's coming. The harvesters stir, their forms rippling through the rows like shadowy figures emerging from the darkness of the plants. Their hollow eyes lock onto him, just as they locked onto me, just as they locked onto every soul that wandered too close. They move toward him, their limbs bending in ways that aren't natural, their bodies shifting, flowing like smoke. The man takes a step back, his breath catching in his throat. He's afraid now, but it's too late. They're already here, I can feel it. The shift, the change. I'm not just a witness anymore. I'm part of it. My body may no longer be human, but my mind is still mine. I still remember what it was. Like to be alive, to be outside the field, to feel the wind on my face. But now I only feel the earth, the roots, the harvest. The man screams, but it's a hollow sound, barely a whisper against the rising hum of the land. The harvesters surround him, their hands reaching for him, their gnarled fingers brushing his skin like cold, dead branches. He struggles, but it's no use. The field pulls him in slowly, methodically, until he's engulfed by the soil, just as I was, just as the others were. His body is nothing now. His soul is food for the land, a part of the endless cycle. The harvest is complete. And the earth grows. I don't scream. I don't feel the urge to fight anymore. The harvest has claimed me, and I've become part of it. I am the soil. I am the roots. I am the hunger. And I understand it now. The land doesn't care. It doesn't stop. It just takes. It takes until there's nothing left but a hunger that grows deeper, darker, always reaching, always waiting for the next soul to wander in, for the next victim to fall into its grasp. The harvest never ends. I'm not free. I will never be free. But maybe that's the point. Maybe freedom isn't part of this. Maybe the field doesn't want us to be free. It wants us to feed it, to grow it, to become one with it, to nourish it so it can continue to spread, to continue to claim new seeds, new victims, new souls. And when they come, they will be like me. They will be a part of it. They will become the harvest. And when it's over, there will be another. I am the last seed. But I am not the last. I can feel it. The next one is coming. The cycle is never ending. It's like the earth itself is hungry for more lives, more souls, more flesh. The light pulses again, stronger, brighter, and I realize that I will never escape. I can't. The harvest continues, the land grows, and I am part of it. I will always be part of it. I don't know how much time has passed since I became part of the earth. Days, months, years. It's hard to measure when you don't have a body to keep track of time. When the world is nothing but the pulse of the soil and the endless stretching of the cornfield. The harvest is constant, always repeating, always growing. The red light flickers in the distance like an eternal flame, a signal that the land is hungry again. But lately something is different. It's not just the hunger. It's not just the call of the soil. There's a memory here buried deep beneath the roots. A whisper. A faint echo of something older than the harvest itself. And I can hear it now, in the spaces between the red, pulses in the rustle of the corn leaves, in the way the earth shifts under my consciousness. The land remembers, and so do I. It's strange. When you're part of the field, when you're nothing more than a part of the soil, you can feel the past seep through you. You feel the weight of everything that has come before, everything that led to this endless cycle of death and rebirth. And slowly, piece by piece, I begin to understand what I couldn't see when I was alive. There was something before the harvest, something that started it all. I don't remember exactly when it started, when the whispers became louder or when the ground began to tremble, but I remember them, the first ones, the ones who walked this land before the field swallowed them, whole. Their lives were so brief, so fleeting, just like mine, but their presence lingered. Their sacrifices became the roots, the foundation of the hunger that thrives here now. The field was once a place of life, a farm, a patch of land where families grew crops and lived their days in peace, unaware of the ancient forces beneath their feet. The soil was rich, the land fertile. They didn't know that the earth beneath them was hungry, but the land always hungers. It was only when the harvest began that the land's true nature revealed itself, and the first to die were the farmers themselves. They were drawn to the fields, at night just like me, lured by the pull of the soil, the red light that flickered like a distant star. They couldn't resist, and when they were claimed, when they were consumed by the earth, it fed something dark, something old. The land grew, feeding off the blood of the living, and the harvest began. The cycle had been born, I hear. The whispers of those first victims, their voices twisted and faint, calling out from the depths of the field. I hear them in the wind, in the rustle of the leaves. They were the ones who started it. They are the roots of this hunger, and now I am part of them. The cornfield wasn't always a field. It was a forest once, a dark ancient place where something else lived, something that fed off the earth, something that needed sacrifices to grow, to thrive. When the farmers settled here, they didn't realize that they had built their homes on cursed land, land that demanded blood. They were the first sacrifice, the first victims to give their lives to the earth, and after they were consumed, the land changed. The cornfield wasn't just a place to grow crops. It became something else, something that fed. It started as an offering, a pact with the earth, and the harvest was born. But the price was steep. The land would always need to be fed. Always. I can feel the shift now. The earth beneath me trembles. Again, the pulse growing stronger. A new seed has arrived. Another victim is about to be claimed. But this time I understand what's happening. This is no ordinary harvest. This is the culmination of everything that has come before. The land is feeding once again, but this time it's not just the soil that grows. It's me. It's the roots that bind me, the whispers of the dead that guide me, and the hunger that never stops. The red light pulses again, and I can feel the earth shifting. The new victim steps onto the road, just as I did, just as they all did before me. The trucker. He's not the first and he won't be the last. He's just another offering, another soul to feed the earth. But now I see him. I feel his presence the same way I felt the others before him. He doesn't know it yet, but the land is calling him, just like it called me. The harvest will claim him, just as it has claimed all the others. I try to scream, but there's no voice left. I try to warn him, but my body is no longer mine. I can only watch, helpless, as the harvesters emerge from the dark rows of corn. Their figures flicker in and out of existence, their eyes glowing with hunger. The trucker doesn't notice them at first. He looks around, confused, unsure of where to go. He doesn't feel the earth calling. He doesn't hear the whispers in the wind. But I do, I hear it all. The harvesters close in on him. Their movements are slow, deliberate, but there's an eerie grace to them. He stumbles back, his heart racing, but he can't escape. The field is everywhere now. The land is all around him, wrapping him in its grip. He doesn't know it, but the harvest has already begun. The red light flares brighter, filling the sky with its eerie glow. The harvesters reach for him, their long fingers wrapping around his arms, pulling him deeper into the field, just as they pulled me, just as they pulled the others. And then, I understand. This isn't just the harvest. It's the beginning of the next cycle. The roots run deep and the land will never stop growing, never stop feeding. The hunger is eternal and the harvest is endless. I was once like him. I was once a stranger, a victim, a wanderer drawn to the pull of the land. But now I am part of the earth, I am part of the soil, the roots, the harvest. The field never stops, it only grows. And the hunger will always return. I can feel it again. The ground trembles beneath me, the roots pull tighter. The harvest, it's coming. Another soul is drawn to the field, just like I was, just like all the others before me. The cycle never stops. It doesn't matter that I've become part of the soil, part of the earth. The land needs more, it always needs more. I can hear them, the whispers of the past, the voices of those who came before, their calls echoing through the soil. They're part of the earth now, just like me, but I'm not free. None of us are, and there's no end to it, not for me, not for anyone who has been claimed by the field. I should be used to it by now. The pulse of the red light in the distance, the rustling of the corn, the way the air feels thick, charged with something ancient and hungry. But tonight it's different, it's stronger. The pull is more intense. I can feel the soil reaching for the new soul, the one who's about to enter, the one who'll be the next offering. It's not over. It never ends. I remember, when I first arrived, the truck broke down on the side of the road. I remember stepping out, looking at the cornfield glowing in the distance, bathed in that strange red light. I thought I was just stranded. I thought I'd wait for someone to pass by, for something to change. I didn't know that the field was already feeding, that the harvest was already beginning. The trucker tonight, he doesn't know it yet, but the land has already claimed him. He's walking toward the field just like I did. He's drawn in by the same force that pulled me, that pulled them all. He doesn't know what he's stepping into. He doesn't know what's waiting for him. But I do. I feel the earth again. The roots are stronger now, pulling through me, wrapping around my bones, intertwining with my mind. It's not just the hunger. It's the need for it. I can feel the cycle deep inside me, in every fiber of my being. The soil needs to grow, the harvest needs to continue, and the land will not stop. I can't escape it. I hear the trucker now, his boots crunching on the dirt road. He's close. The wind picks up, blowing through the corn, stirring the leaves in a way that doesn't feel natural. The air feels thick with anticipation. The red light pulses again, growing brighter, casting an eerie glow over everything. The corn shivers as if it's alive, breathing, waiting. The harvesters are already out there. I can feel them just like I felt them when I first came to this place. Their forms are flickering in and out of the shadows, moving through the rows of corn. They're waiting. And they'll take him just like they took me, just like they've taken everyone else. I can't warn him. I can't scream. My body is no longer mine. My voice is lost to the land. But I watch. I watch as the trucker steps closer, his eyes wide with confusion, his breath shallow. He looks around, sensing something isn't right, but he doesn't understand. He doesn't realize what's happening. The harvesters emerge from the corn. Their forms are blurred at the edges, like smoke, like shadows that can't quite hold shape. Their hollow eyes shine red, the same color as the light that pulses in the distance. And when they reach for him, when their cold, twisted fingers wrap around him, I can feel it. I can feel his fear. But it's no use. The field has already claimed him. The trucker struggles, trying to pull away, but the harvesters are too strong. Their limbs stretch unnaturally, their forms bending and contorting, as they pull him deeper into the cornfield. The ground trembles beneath him, the soil shifting, hungry. It pulls at his legs, at his arms, and the earth begins to swallow him whole. I can feel him now. The fear, the terror, the hopelessness. It's the same feeling I had. The same feeling I still carry with me, buried deep within my soul. And as he disappears into the earth, into the harvest, I realize something. I was once like him. The trucker's scream fades, swallowed by the soil, lost to the earth. The harvest is complete, but there's no peace, there's no rest. The land is never satisfied, it always needs more. And now, I am part of it. I'm part of the harvest, part of the soil, part of the hunger. I thought there might be an end to it. I thought that maybe I would become something else, something free. But the field doesn't let you go. It doesn't care about your pain, your fear, your regrets. It only wants to feed, it only wants to grow. And the cycle will continue. I am the soil now. I am the roots. I am the harvest. But even in this endless hunger, I understand. I understand the land's need. It's not just about taking, it's about feeding, it's about growing. The earth has always been hungry, and it will never stop. It will always take what it needs, until nothing is left but the pulse of the red light, the whisper of the wind and the endless rustling of the corn. The cycle is eternal. It doesn't end. And now, I am the harvest.